This episode of Living the Dream is brought to you by Rupert's Pet Cremation and Transport. Rupert's Pet Cremation and Transport offers individual pet cremations on the Central Coast. They aim to ease the grief associated with losing a beloved pet by providing a compassionate and respectful service. Rupert's fully trained and caring team will look after everything from collection to the return of your pet's ashes, all within 4 business days. They have a range of urns to choose from, and you can personalise the plaque with your own inscription. Furthermore, each cremation package comes with a free memorial box and a range of keepsakes. You can customise your package by adding a framed paw print mould or garden memorial stone. Information is available at www.rpct.com.au. Mention this podcast for a free paw print mould with your cremation package. Conditions apply. Rupert's Pet Cremation and Transport. Treat your pet like their own. Welcome to an episode of Isolating the Dram. Or is it Living the Isolation? I'm not sure.
Living the Rona.
Living the Rona. The Rona bro. Hope you've used plenty of Sani.
So much Sani. The boss tested positive. Tested posy to Rona. So I'm in ISO. I nipped down to Woolies to pick myself up some Sani. But some pricking magpied it. No good.
Shit, what are you wiping with?
I'm just not wiping, bro.
Just shit before shower.
Oh, it's chafage. Hardcore chafage.
Strange times. You know
what else? What's really strange is doing a podcast and not sitting next to you, bro.
Yeah, this is weird. It's very strange. There's going to be some, I imagine there's going to be some talking over each other. There's going to be some bum cues. All due to Gladys's enforced Nigelism.
So we apologise in advance because currently, at the time of recording, it is illegal in New South Wales for anyone to be in your house that doesn't actually live there. Hence the situation we find ourselves in today.
Yeah. I found it's been like an interesting catch-22, like going for exercise. I've been considering going for a mountain bike ride because you're allowed to, but you're supposed to keep exercise close to where you live. So it's okay for me to ride to a trail, but there's no trails within. Yeah. What have I got? Olympic Park is my only option, and that's 400 metres of garbage. I've been wondering about just taking the risk and riding to who knows where, somewhere. Most of the good trails are sort of 20, 30 Ks away. I've also heard a friend say, though, if you do get pulled over the cops, just stay silent. Just do not say anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just don't say a word.
Don't say anything. Yeah.
Do not incriminate yourself.
Yeah. Apparently they've...
And stay safe. Wear your face masks.
Stay safe, stay sensible, but yeah.
Exactly. And wear your face masks or your printed winter accessories.
That's it, yeah, legal loophole. Yeah. And this whole physical distancing thing, man, like that, the social distancing, that is the completely incorrect thing to call it, because these days with social media, like, look at us, we're still highly social.
Right, exactly right. You're right. It's physical distance.
It's physical distance,
and I tell you what, it is wreaking havoc on my dating life, Rickus. It's not that it was going particularly well before. But it's not going anywhere now.
Yeah. Those cogs, I imagine, have totally seized. It's not just a spanner.
It's a hard times out there for us single guys.
So what have you been doing to keep sane?
Well, I've been throwing a lot of darts to keep myself sane.
Yeah,
I also bought an Xbox.
Nice.
So I've regressed to being a teenager again, and I now spend a very good portion of my day sometimes just on the Xbox until, it's 4:00 in the morning.
Yeah, right.
There's a reason.
Those things are a time vacuum.
I'm not a console game player.
And it's not just because you're no good.
No, it's actually it's surprising how quick you get good at whatever game you're playing when you're pumping in 40 hours a week or your work time is good. But in all honesty, it's console games must light up all those areas in my brain that my other addictions do. Because, I'll tell you what, it's hard to put that controller down.
Yeah. I remember I had a solid, gaming, I don't know, fetish. I don't know if I'd call it addiction. I didn't hang to get back to it, but once I started, it was so damn hard. Even if you were losing, absolutely getting pummeled, losing, like to your wit's end, you'd tear your own hair out. I remember physically biting the controller as hard as you could, but you would not. But that still wouldn't deter you from, like, trying again.
Oh, of course not.
No.
It's you must succeed. They're very, very cleverly put together.
Yeah.
But what have you been doing to keep yourself sane?
Man, it's business as usual for me. I'm still apparently an essential service worker, so business as usual. Which to be honest, man, I'm seeing a massive upside to this because I cycle to work. There's no traffic. There's no drunken fuckwits like staggering out into the bike lanes. Public transport is running on time. I'm seeing a massive upside. I wish, but I'm also a country boy at heart, and I love the solitude. So I understand.
Yeah, look, there's
it's a selfish perspective to take, but yeah, I'm absolutely loving life at the moment.
Look, at the end of the day, you've got to find your silver linings, and there's certainly good. Yeah, and don't get me wrong. I'm unequivocally saying that obviously Rona and a global pandemic isn't a positive thing in any way, shape, or form. Yeah. But there have been, some. There seems to be a bit more of a community swell.
There is. I've noticed too.
You very rarely.
I get on a lot of like free cycle and I've given away like a lot of my clothes just to people that want and need them. You very rarely hear me say sorry. No, a lot of people. No, it just seems like you said, just to reinforce what you've stated, that the community spirit seems a lot stronger, which is funny because there's less face contact. Which
exactly.
It's so anti-socially being social.
Yeah, exactly right. And you'll never hear me say positive things about the government, but watching different governments' reactions worldwide, Australia probably gets a pass mark at this stage. Yeah, we're doing all right, I think.
I'll never give Gladys props, but we're doing all right.
No, but it was incredible to watch a staunchly conservative government, shell out over $200 billion in welfare. Like that's
true.
Whoa, actually, I never thought I'd see the day they signed off on that. That's for sure.
Yeah, that was mind blowing. Actually, just seeing the queue outside Centrelink on the way past.
Oh, incredible!
Yeah,
it's definitely challenging times, and it just goes to show how adaptable humans are, and how adaptable we are. So, obviously we're doing something a little bit different than usual. We're not sitting together at the desk. Giving it a shot.
We shouldn't.
So we're going to do some different whiskies today.
Is the Rona a scam, do you think?
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, some of the conspiracies I've heard have been as mind-numbingly docile and stupid as flat Earth conspiracy theories.
I personally can't believe it, but I do think that they're up there with flat earthers and 5G conspirators. And hey, like the flat earthers are the ones that should worry about 5G, because if the waves just go out sideways, they're all fucked. But because the rest of us believe in a round world or an oblate spheroid, like if they're just going out sideways, the rest of us is sweet.
But expecting logic from people with the constitution of the mental capacity to believe that the Earth is flat, you're not going to get a lot of sense out of them or be able to convince them of anything at all. That sounds like it may be similar to Rona conspiracy theorists as well.
Yeah.
What are the best ones you've heard?
Oh, I would like to just read you a letter actually that arrived in my mailbox.
Oh, please do.
Okay. Entitled, "The Coronavirus is a Scam."
Oh, it starts well.
Dear citizen, you have been deceived by the media, government, pharmaceutical companies and doctors. It has been known for at least 150 years that germs do not cause disease. This was proven by a biologist by the name of Antoine Béchamp. He was a contemporary of Louis Pasteur. It was proven that germs are the results of a disease and not the cause of it. Recent technology and understanding of vitamins has further confirmed this information. Disease is unnatural and doesn't occur by itself in nature. Humans have strayed from nature by growing cereal crops to store for the winter periods when foods are scarce. Unfortunately, there is a hidden cost in eating grain food. When plants make a seed, they add toxic chemicals and sharp edges to discourage foraging from animals eating grass seeds and some tree seeds. When animals eat grain seeds, the toxic chemicals and sharp edges irritate the gut, causing inflammation of the gut lining. This causes gaps in the gut lining to expand, which allows gut bacteria and food material to enter the bloodstream. Also, grain is deficient in vitamins which humans need. This is so hard to continue with. Grain is a high-octane fuel designed for birds. When humans eat it, grain causes an acceleration of their metabolic rate and a small increase in body temperature. A doctor would call this fever. But this fever is not caused by germs, but by fast-digesting sugars from grain, milk, and sugar sources. This is the true case 99% of all human disease. Note, junk food causes disease, not germs. That's why coronavirus mostly occurs on cruise ships, theme parks, and fast food outlets. Here we go in bold. There is only one human disease which is called vitamin deficiency disease. There are not thousands of different diseases. Back to regular case. There is no such thing as viruses. I know because I've worked in an electron microscope unit where I learnt how to use all the equipment. I also learnt about the electron microscope's limitations as well. An electron microscope wouldn't be able to find a virus. In fact, if in fact they did exist, because you can't photograph what you can't find. Note, all alleged photos of viruses are blurry images. Why? This is deliberate deception because viruses don't exist, so they have to make the photos unclear so that nobody can see that photos are of cell debris and not a photo of a virus. Louis Pasteur was a fraud and a charlatan. Tell thousands of people that were vaccinated from rabies that. References M. Pasteur's Hecatomb, 1889, The Tale of the 152 Dead. There's a web link here as well that's bullshit, but I'll put it in the show notes. Viruses are illogical nonsense. You can't be dead 1 minute and alive the next. A virus is something that has no brains, legs, nervous system, sight, ears, and wouldn't be able to survive in the real world. Don't be fooled by medical and government officials who hope to gain profit, power, money, and population control from this huge global scam. Help stop the advance of this pharmaceutical industry dictatorship. Not signed.
Wow.
I am...
That's incredible.
Yeah, I wish I had seen the person. I would have put him in a chokehold. But it would have been worth the 11 grand fine.
I am blown. Like, that is the perfect example of pseudoscience.
Yeah,
like, there's
it is.
Just enough
Yep.
little bit of fact in there to make it sound
a few
like
buzzwords
this person
that
isn't a raving fuckwit.
Yeah, a few buzzwords that people don't 100% understand, thrown in conjunction with each other to give the impression that they actually know what they're talking about. At
some
times.
fucker decided... I can't believe some fucker decided that it was a good idea to not only write that, but then to go and put it in people's fucking letterboxes.
Yeah.
What are they trying to achieve?
Exactly. There's no call to action there. There's no... Like, what do they want? There's no saying, okay, like, talk to me. Here's this email address, or let's revolt or anything. Like, if this was France, like, it'd be like, let's go out and fucking burn the world. But no, and people would fucking do it too. The French are crazy. Yeah,
they would. Yeah, exactly. Especially if it was in a particularly lower educated country. Mm-hmm. But that's insane.
Not saying that France is one of them.
But it's wow.
Yeah.
And I mean, what does this grand conspiracy hope to achieve?
That's it. That is exactly it. Like, what? Yeah. What to say? We asked the same thing about flat earthers. What are we hoping to achieve?
Yeah. That's it. Like, what does all the world's population of scientists get out of deceiving us by making up fictional fucking viruses?
Yeah.
Just like, fuck me. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
So that was
it takes all sorts, doesn't it?
Mind blowing, but yeah, we've had about 10 days to sort of laugh at that. I was outraged at the time, But now I just find it
I'm
hilarious.
well. This is the first time I've heard it, so I'm quite outraged. But at the same time, fuck, I'm amused. So amused.
Excellent. Excellent.
I'm both amused and bemused.
Well, yeah, I'll definitely put a photocopy of that up on the show notes.
Yeah, perfect.
And and the links that were included. But
fucking Rona and ISO, it's clearly turning some people batshit crazy.
Yeah, it is. But apparently, yeah, they are going to reduce, or the restrictions should ease soon. I hear
that'd be nice.
We're allowed apparently 2 adults visiting. I don't know if they have to both be from the same household or not. That is,
yeah, right.
But that is slated for the coming weekend, I believe.
And obviously, the new government contact tracing app has been launched as well, which has met with some. Oh, look, I wouldn't say controversy. There's just a lot of fear when you've got an app on your phone. That,
for sure.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. And I haven't downloaded the app myself, but I think I support the concept for the contact tracing. My worry, not worry, I suppose my throwaway concern is the same as all of these restrictions. Like, I chafe against them a little bit because it's so restrictive and draconian in its own way, and yet they're obviously vital. But history doesn't have a great record for draconian measures being lifted, draconian measures being put in place because of some kind of catastrophe or some kind of emergency, and then having them lifted afterwards. I mean, what will the world look like in 6 months' time?
Yeah.
I mean, they're merely thought exercises.
Yeah.
But it's I can understand why some people are losing their fucking minds because they've got nothing better to do than to do these thought exercises over and over again. And
stew in their own juices.
Go and develop develop a different addiction.
Yeah.
Something fun, like cocaine.
Something you'll really benefit from.
Yeah, exactly. Like something that allows you to have these,
especially while you're not working at full time. Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, excellent. Oh, maybe we should actually start talking about what we're here to talk about.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
So what have we got for the people today? I would call this a battle of the blends.
Yes, I agree.
The ultimate
something different, obviously.
Battle of the blends. Yeah. It's our first foray into, something we typically frown upon. However,
not just frown upon, but are incredibly dismissive of and almost contemptuous of too. But hey. But it's different. This is an ISO Rona podcast, so we're going to throw some ISO Rona whiskey in.
But I think we've started at the top. We've started with 2 of the most prestigious offerings from both Johnny Walker and Chivas Regal, being the Blue Label.
Exactly right.
Being the Blue Label and the Ultis.
So we're top shelf blended.
We have. We're not doing this by halves.
No, exactly right. We're not going to drink shit. So yeah. So it's a little bit different, but I'm quite keen. I may have had the Johnny Blue a long time ago, but I may not have. My memory's unclear from my younger days for obvious reasons. I haven't tried the Ultis.
No, I've never sampled the Ultis. So I'm quite looking forward to this. I seem to visit Johnny Blue every sort of 18 months or so, and it's about that time I start writing it off, and then I go back to it and I go, you know what, this is actually really, really good.
And I mean, technically they're not both blends, or they're blends, but one's a blended whiskey in the form of a blend of malt and grain whiskey, being the Johnny Walker Blue. Yep. And yet the Chivas Ultis is a blended or a vatted blend.
Yeah, blended malt. Blended malt or a vatted malt. Yeah.
So it's 5 single malts put together with no grain constituent. Nice. So so they'll be a little bit different, but they're the top end of the blends. Yeah. And why not, hey? When in ISO.
Yeah. Do what the ISO does. First of all, I wouldn't mind just talking a little bit about the difference between single malt and blended malts, or in just blends, because as we said, there is a little bit of confusion. Even the term single malt itself is somewhat of a misnomer, or a misnomer.
Yeah, true. Because most single malts are vatted blends.
That's it. A single malt is a blend of sorts, but a specific type of blend. So there's basically two different ways to use the word blend. You've got an informal way, and you've got a formal, legal way.
Yep.
Informally, a blend's a mixture, and in this case, a mixture of two or more whiskies that are bottled and sold as one whiskey, which I believe that's Chivas.
Yep.
The word grain wasn't in there. Formally, however, a blended whiskey is a product that contains a mix of barrel-aged malt and grain whiskies, such as your Johnny Blue. So single malts, as we said, they aren't just from a single batch or barrel. Single malt essentially means it's the product of a single distillery. Distilleries have a flavour profile that they want to meet, and no two casks are alike, so it might take blending a lot of their stock, which is usually a mixture of different ages, to meet the profile. It's always the youngest age that's put on the bottle, and the job of this goes down to the master blender. I'm sure you've heard us mention the master blender a fair bit in the past, such as we've had Mickey Heads at Ardbeg, Rachel Barry, and Billy Walker at Glendronach. So a single grain Scotch whisky varies only in the fact that it contains barley and one or more other cereal grains, usually wheat or corn, there's your bourbons right there. Again, The word single is misleading. It refers not to a product made from a single grain, but a product made at a single distillery that uses grain as well as malt. A single barrel Scotch is the product of a single barrel of whisky. Single barrel releases can be quite different from one barrel to the next, but you'll find it's more common with American whiskies than it is with Scotch. That's what most people tend to think a single malt is. It's actually single barrel.
Yeah. The Jack Daniels do a decent or a half decent single barrel.
Okay, nice. I think I have a few Tasmanian single barrels that don't plan on opening though. They're slowly for investment purposes, I think. Unless I happen to get a second bottle, but they're quite expensive. But I digress. That's more about me and not enough about whiskey. A blended or vatted malt Scotch is a blend of single malts from two or more distilleries. And as we said, this is like our Chivas Ultis. Blended grain Scotch whiskies are a blend of single grains from two or more distilleries. And a blended Scotch whisky is a mixture of both malt whiskies and grain whiskies sourced from several different distilleries, such as our Johnny Blue here.
No wonder people get fucking confused.
Yeah. As I said, I can't really think of a better term off the top of my head, but it is the word single. I see why people get confused.
Yep.
All right, so on to Johnny, I guess.
Why not?
Yeah. Looking forward to this. I'll give it a little snuff to start with. Yeah, that's very, very light and smooth. You can smell the grain sweetness.
Yeah.
So Johnny Walker is a brand of Scotch whisky that's now owned by Diageo, what isn't these days, that originated in the Scottish town of Kilmarnock, Ayrshire. The brand was first established by John Walker, who was a grocer by trade. It's the most widely distributed brand of blended Scotch whisky in the world, and it's sold in almost every country. 2016 stats had the equivalent of over 220 million bottles, which is over 150 million litres sold around the world. Johnny Walker, or John, I don't know if he was known as Johnny. Every reference I found just referred to him as John, except for the bottle.
Yeah.
He was born 25th of July 1805, and his father passed away when he was 14. So they sold up the farm for £417, which is about 35,000 today, a bit over, or 70,000 Aussie dollars. That's where Johnny grew up. In 1823, the Excise Act relaxed its strict laws on distillation of whiskey and reduced by a considerable amount the extremely heavy taxes on the distillation and sale of whiskey. This is while the 14-year-old Johnny Walker was working at his first shop in Kilmarnock, which he'd bought with the proceeds from the sale of the Trottigs farm. He was actually a teetotaler, and but his inventory list of 1825s showed that he was already selling his own spirits, including rum, brandy, gin, and Islay whiskey. He switched to dealing mainly in whiskey, but the blending of grain and malt whiskies was still banned at the time, so he sold both blended malts and grain whiskies. They were sold as made-to-order whiskies. He blended them to meet specific customer requirements because he didn't have any brand of his own. That would soon change, however, after the birth of his son Alexander, who was known as Alec, in 1837. A railway was built as well in Kilmarnock in 1843, and that really helped his extend the potential reach of his business. He could get a lot more of his product out. It was in 1850 that he finally got his own brand happening. Walker's Kilmarnock whiskey started being sold at the shop. A couple of years later, though, a disastrous flood destroys Walker's entire stock, and it nearly put him out of business.
Fuck.
Yeah, that would have been devastating.
Fuck yeah.
In 1856, his son Alec joins the business and persuades his father to go into wholesaling whiskey. But the next year, sadly, Johnny passed away, and young Alec took over.
Sounds like a bit of a go-getter, young Alec.
Yeah, I'd say he had good boots to fill, I think. He had a good mentor in his father. His father sounds like he got shit done. Well, he's running a shop at the early age of 14. He's got a good work ethic. In 1860, the Spirit Act finally permits this large-scale blending of whiskies from more than one distillery in bond. And in effect, it allows the creation of blended whiskies as we know it today. Alec introduces the iconic square-sided bottle for Walker's Kilmarnock whiskey, which I reckon is an incredibly smart move because it means
that was a great move.
He can fit more whiskey in a box, and there's fewer broken bottles.
Yeah, like the bottle is stronger because of the square shape.
Yep.
Plus, the other thing that he did genius was the slant of the label.
Yeah.
Like,
that was
brilliant use of space.
That was coming up very, very shortly. He also entered international trade by putting ship captains on commission to sell his whiskey on board their vessels, which,
genius.
Another great marketing move.
Yep.
And as you said, it was that year too that the label sits on a 24-degree slant upwards and left to right. And the claim is that it allows text to be made larger and more visible. I think with a square bottle and a slanted label, people aren't fucking dickheads. Like, you can tell a Coca-Cola bottle from fucking 300 meters away. That's red, and because of the shape. I think the same goes with whiskey. You got a square bottle and a slanted label. Doesn't matter if it's
That's Johnny Walker.
Doesn't matter if it's backwards. Like, it's
Yeah. That's Johnny Walker. Yep, 100%.
Yeah.
Brilliant marketing.
Even if you can't read it, it doesn't fucking matter. Like, yeah.
No. It's marketing 101. Brilliant brand.
It is. Yeah. You make it visually. Just don't rely on people to have to work for it. Like, yeah, it should be visually distinctive from the get-go.
Yep.
So, thanks to Alec's business acumen, sales of Walker's Kilmarnock hit 100,000 gallons or 450,000 litres per year in 1862. So he's crushing it.
Killing it.
1864, Alec's son George was born. Alec creates, in 1865, Alec creates the Old Highland whiskey and registers it 2 years later, making it one of the earliest copyrighted brands, and this was the forerunner of Johnnie Walker Black. Alec has another son in 1869, also named Alexander, so we'll call him Alex. In 1877, the Old Highland whiskey slanted label is trademarked, and that hasn't changed in 150 years. 1879, Walker's Whiskey wins its first medal at the International Exhibition in Sydney, Australia. Just down the road.
Yeah.
1889, though, sadly, Alec dies and passes the business to his sons, Alex and George. George is concerned mainly with the business side of the company, while Alex is a brilliant blender. Under John, whiskey sales represented about 8% of the firm's income. By the time Alexander passed on, the figure had increased to somewhere between 90 and 95%.
Yeah,
They
nice.
definitely found their groove. They went gangbusters from here. They made some really sensible business decisions. 1893, they purchased Cardew for £20,500, which is about 2.5 mil today. 2.5 mil pounds, or just over 5 mil Australian. And that protects the stocks of one of the Walker Blend's key malt whiskies. It basically took Cardew out of the market, made an exclusive preserve of the Walkers, and Cardew's output becomes the heart of the Old Highland whiskey. It's the prime single malt in Walker Red and Black. By 1906, the company now owns has 3 main brands. You've got the Old Highland White, which is 5-year-old, Special Old Highland, which is the red, 9-year-old, Extra Special Old Highland Black Label, which is 12-year-old, and they're just commonly referred to, and still are referred to, by the colours of their labels. Except that I haven't seen a white. I don't think the white's still in existence.
No, I think it went out of production.
Yeah.
Whoa, World War II?
I think maybe it might have even been World War One. They employed a gentleman by the name of James Stevenson, who's now the managing director, and the iconic Striding Man logo is commissioned from the famous illustrator Tom Brown.
Great logo.
Yeah. The evolution of that is really, really good. I want to talk a little bit about that later, and I'll put a link up to a great article I found on it as well. Brown supposedly drew the Striding Man on a menu card while having lunch with Stevenson and George. Stevenson came up with a classic strapline, born 1820, still going strong.
Yep.
The Old Highland whiskey variants in 1909 are officially branded as Johnnie Walker. 2 of the range had a birthday. The red turned 10 and the short-lived white turned 6, but the black defied time and remained 12-year-old. So during 1914, there was that little spat we knew as the First World War, and Alex and James Stevenson, they supervised the production of ammunition for the war effort at the Ministry of Munitions, and are later awarded a knighthood and a baronetcy respectively.
Nice.
They ended up having a fair bit to do with royalty, as we'll hear shortly. And that was around the time the white label was discontinued as they moved up market. In 1915, John Walker and Sons becomes a shareholder in Colburn Distillery. The following year, they become a shareholder in Clynelish and Dalwayne Talisker. 1920, Alex designs a special blend for the 100th anniversary for the company directors. The square bottle becomes standard for all the blends. In 23, Walker invests in Mortlach Distillery, and Walker and Sons goes public. In 25, John Walker and Sons is amalgamated alongside Buchanan Dewar Limited into Distillers Company Limited, or DCL. In 1932, they released Johnnie Walker Swing, whose name originates from the unusual shape of the bottle, which allows it to rock back and forth. That's designed by Alex for international travellers, and that innovative bottle design is still being produced today.
Nice.
1934, Johnny Walker receives its first royal warrant from King George V. 1940, Alex retires from the whiskey business, passes away 10 years later. In 66, the company is honoured with the Queen's Award for Export Achievement. In 1970, the company celebrates its 50th anniversary of the opening of John Walker's first shop in Kilmarnock with a special limited edition gift case containing a crystal decanter and a very rare blend. 86, the DCL is acquired by Guinness. In 1992, which ties in very well now, Johnny Walker Oldest, which is the first edition of the Blue Label, is introduced, and that was to great acclaim. Very popular. 95, the Gold Label is introduced based on Alex's notes for a centenary blend presented to directors in 1920. In 97, Guinness merges with Grand Metropolitan to form Diageo. That was something I found out. I had no idea that Guinness was owned by Diageo as well.
Yeah, right.
And in the same year, Johnny Walker Pure Malt is introduced, which is renamed as Green Label in 2004.
That's their vatted blend.
Yeah, 15-year-old. In 2005, an anniversary edition of the Blue Label is released at cask strength for the bicentenary of John Walker's birth. 2007, Johnny Walker King George Fifth is released initially only for travel retail. Mate of mine's got a bottle of that, and it's
nice.
It's not too bad. In 2010, Johnny Walker Double Black is introduced and that has an extra Isla smoky character. The John Walker is released in a Baccarat crystal decanter. Should be a nice little bit of glassware to have for the shelf, I imagine.
Yeah, absolutely.
It actually makes me want to try the Double Black with how it mentions the extra smokiness.
Yeah, it's supposed to be quite peaty.
Okay, might have to lash out one day and give it a shot. In 2011, the Platinum 18-year-old makes its debut in travel retail. And in 2012, it's the end of an era. The Kilmarnock bottling plant is closed. Also in December of that year, the Green Label is discontinued everywhere except Taiwan, because apparently they go gaga for blends.
Yeah, and apparently Diageo copped a lot of backlash for shutting down Kilmarnock.
Yeah.
A lot of people lost their jobs.
Yeah, I heard there was rallies, and even the mayor, local pollies got in on it. Well, it's an institution. They
didn't take it sitting down.
Well, that's it, yeah. 140 years of legacy, basically.
Yeah.
Would have had a huge impact in the town. I don't know if it was exclusively bottling Johnny Walker as well, or if the plant could have been repurposed. I'm sure they still would have had to downsize, find new contracts, but
yep.
Yeah. Well, I guess no. It's if the information I have is it's closed. So yeah, I guess it's closed.
Yeah.
I guess Diageo probably owned it. So
yeah, just mothballed it.
But yeah, 2016, Johnny Walker Green returns, and it's basically unchanged. It combines 4 single malts. You got Talisker from Skye, Linkwood and Cragganmore from Speyside, and Kaolilla from Islay.
Kaolilla.
The same year, Johnny Walker Gold is introduced, which is rolled out alongside Platinum in the standard range. Also, a limited edition Diamond Jubilee decanter is released with a price tag of £100,000.
Jesus Christ!
So I don't know what that's not too long ago. So you'd say 250,000 Australian dollars.
Fuck.
And brings us to today, pretty much, or later this year, actually. The Johnny Walker Experience, which is an immersive visitor attraction, is set to open in Glasgow.
Yeah, right.
Which I'd definitely give it a visit, should I be in the area.
Yeah, also anyone that's around Glasgow that happens to be, has stumbled upon the podcast, go check it out.
Yeah. They recently advertised for, I think there was 160 jobs they wanted filled. Had everything from wait staff to, cocktail mixers to entertainment people.
And when's that supposed to open? Later in the year?
Yeah, towards the end of the year they're slated for.
So maybe, depending on Rona.
Yeah, this might have put a big... Although I've noticed, like, construction's still going ahead around the city, so... I don't know if that would have slowed it down.
Yeah.
It might slow down the recruitment process, but...
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that part of the world, what impact it'll have. I did have a thought, depending on how well or poorly it goes in the UK, could this be the next Patterson crash? If it doesn't go well,
yeah.
If you see mass shutdown, mass infection rates. If it doesn't, I mean, here in Australia we've flattened our curve rather quickly, but a lot of other places in the world they haven't managed to do so yet. Obviously, it's harder for them. We're very isolated.
Yeah,
Europe not so much. So
yeah,
it was just a throwaway thought I had. It'll be interesting to see the impact.
Well, I have been getting a lot of the. I still get the correspondence from a lot of the distilleries, and they've all basically shut their doors for this period of time.
Yeah.
But I did notice, chatting to friends that are in England, they were still, while we'd been locked down, they were still allowed to go out and do whatever the hell they wanted. Which
the dramas they had.
Yeah, which I thought was just pure madness, especially being that close to Italy, and it just seemed absurd. But
yeah, it's interesting to see how different governments have tried to protect economies as opposed to health systems.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, it has been really, really interesting.
Yeah.
That's why the Australian government gets a pass mark, I suppose.
Yeah.
But anyway, I digress. Or we digress.
No, that I think that brings us to our to the key moment. Thanks for listening.
Now,
they do have an extensive history.
They do. Now, how would you describe the hue of the Johnny Walker Blue as opposed to the Chivas Ultis?
Yeah, Chivas is much richer, much deeper. You've got the Chivas is much more of a burnished gold, where this is almost just gold, I would say, the Johnny Blue.
Ah, excellent. Now, now I know which one to taste.
Nice. I did have to send you a care package, unmarked.
It's for those who aren't familiar with what the circumstances are like in Australia right now. Just to put this little podcast together, we had to get gear from where we usually do it, from
LTD Studios.
And so that I could set up in my front room. So I had to take unmarked bottles of whiskey with my portion in them, and until now, I've got to be honest, I had it wrong. I thought the Johnny Blue would be the richer, more amber hued one.
It makes sense if there's.
That's why I asked the question.
If there's a bit of grain in there, you would assume so.
Yeah, but it's because they're quite different colours.
Yeah.
So I figured as soon as you told me which one you were sampling first by colour, I'd be able to work it out, and I have. So happy days. Now, it's very difficult to drink whiskey with a face mask on, so I'm going to remove this so that I can enjoy it. Now I've probably got Rona. I'm not safe anymore. Ooh, that smells lovely.
It does, doesn't it?
There's a fair bit going on there, isn't there?
Yeah, it's quite rich. You can smell a little like the youth, but it's quite rich.
Yeah, because it's a no age statement, the blue label.
Yeah.
Which doesn't really mean a lot. It's probably they're just. I think in this kind of situation, putting an age statement on it may even just distract from the blend itself. I don't think it's a poor. I don't think it's a poor marketing term to have it as a no age statement. But yes, there is a bit of youth in there. There's also quite a fair bit of complexity.
That's
quite floral. All right.
But there is
there is a fair bit going on.
Yeah,
here.
there's I'd say it's largely bottom end, but there is that little bit that floats up the top.
Yes, it's floral at the top.
Yeah.
Kind of.
It's almost akin to a
lot of
Tassie
honey.
in a way. It's a really, really subdued Tassie. That strange floral, without the pungency.
Yep,
Yeah.
agreed. Yeah, there's not a lot of. I'm not detecting a lot of smoke or peat.
No, not at all.
Yeah, it's kind of. Smells quite Highland.
It does.
To me.
Yeah. Well, I do believe that. Yeah, it is mainly Speyside and Highlands that go into it. Cardew, Clonelish, and Benrinus. Okay, and there's a tiny little bit of Isla in there.
On the palate at first, it's quite strange. There's youth and age in there. Yeah, it doesn't taste young, but you can sense the young elements. But there's also a smoothness to it.
Yeah, isn't it?
You don't get from a young single malt.
Almost contradicts itself in that respect. It's very top and bottom. I'm not detecting much in the way of mids either.
No, you're right. A lot of bit of spice at the back of the tongue, at the top of the throat, just a hint. Yeah, it's not young, but spicy.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of spice on the roof of the tingles are on the roof of my mouth, and it was fine on the back of the throat going down, but it's in the esophagus where I got the heat.
Yeah, the heat's the heat's kind of around the trachea. After a couple of sips, the bouquet opens up a little. Yeah, there's some. Is it citrus? I think there's some citrus in there. Maybe some.
Yeah. Mandarinish, maybe orangish.
Yeah, kind of. It's. I'm not being denigratory.
Denigrative.
You know, I can make up words. That's fine.
With the best of them.
I'm not being derogatory.
Not being repentless.
But it's a little confused.
Mm-hmm. Certainly is.
Yeah, it doesn't. And I suppose this is where our contempt for blends will probably come through. And it's not. Yeah, it's just easy to be wanky about single malts. It's hard to be wanky about blends.
Unless you're drinking this with Coke, then you're just a wanker.
You know, if you're gonna, yes, there are whiskies that are made to have mixers put in them, but a top shelf blend is not one of them. Don't make a dick out of yourself and pollute your fucking what's this shit? Couple $100 a bottle?
Yeah, I think anywhere from about, depends if you get a special edition, but anywhere from say 170 to 250.
Yeah,
sort of.
Don't pollute a bottle that costs you over $100 with fucking.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. That's what. Yeah, that's what your $40 bottles are for.
Yeah, look, it's not bad. I don't dislike it.
No, I don't dislike it.
There's
starting to get some richness now. Actually, the sweetness is starting to cut through. It's very thin though. It's very watery.
It is, and it's the malt is the hero here. Like, you know, it's really cereal.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, there's no.
Almost to the point of.
There's none of the things.
Almost to the point of sort of nutty. There's like a mild nuttiness to it.
Yes, thank you. I was struggling to put my finger on what that was. You're right. There's a
it's
faint
like
nuttiness
almost
to
like
it, almost a papery nuttiness.
Yeah, I was gonna say almost sort of like pecans or hazelnuts maybe. That ties in with the bottom end a little.
But it's you're right. Like the cereal comes through. It's kind of nutty, but yeah, there's no big booming sherry notes. There's no comforting, warm hug, peat notes.
No, it's very sterile in that respect.
Yeah, it's a little confused in the way that it hasn't committed. It hasn't committed to being something, and I think that might be my main issue with it.
Yeah.
It's not unenjoyable. Don't get me wrong. This is a lovely whiskey. It's smooth. It's
very, very,
inoffensive.
it's very, very middle of the road though. Like, inoffensive. The lowest common denominator sort of. This is if you say you like Scotch, anybody that likes Scotch is not going to be displeased with this. No, it's real easy to drink. Yeah,
I'd fucking want to be for the price, but I'm not. I wouldn't go out and buy a bottle of it. It's obviously premium, and there's not. As I said, it's inoffensive. There's nothing. I don't hate it.
Yeah.
I just don't love it.
Yeah.
It's just. I don't know. It's a good blend.
Yeah. It's just strange how thin it is.
See,
But I guess that's what they're going for. Like they are going for that middle of the road.
well, yeah, they are. I mean, this is marketed as their premium blend, whereas your black and your double black are the smokier. I mean, Johnny Walker Black was one of the first whiskies I ever drank as a teenager, and there was the smoke. Smokiness, the peat element to it that I enjoyed, and then I tried the Johnny Walker Red, which has no peat in it whatsoever from my memory, and I only ever drank that straight the first time, and ever since then, Johnny Walker Red was coated, or not coated, it was mixed with Coke or dry ginger ale, and I drank it like that for a long time. But
I understand. I was surprised to learn that it is actually what did I say? It's an 8 or a 10. I think I said it was 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see why they wouldn't
10-year-old.
Really?
Yeah.
That's.
But
well,
then
mind
again,
you, I
for
would have been,
$10 more, you can get Glen Grant 10-year-old, which is single malt Speyside, which
yeah.
far.
I mean,
it's
and I
far
would have been
superior.
14 the first time I had Johnny Walker Red. Yeah, I didn't have quite the developed palate that I've worked towards these days. But look, it's not bad. That's the best I can say for it, really.
Yeah. I wouldn't. Don't believe the hype. Don't believe everything you see on TV too. It seems to be top shelf for a lot of TV shows. Go to for a lot of, I don't know, what would you say, like people trying to appear affluent.
Well, I mean, it's a testament to good marketing. And good branding.
Yeah, that's what.
Which is something that the Walker brand has done.
Yeah,
for quite some time.
Very well so. So yeah, actually, speaking on the topic of marketing, I'll say a few points about the striding man and how he's evolved over the years since his inception in 1908. Photos started replacing the hand-drawn striding man in the 30s, and he became a coloured logo in 1939. Started appearing on the labels in 1960. In the late 90s, however, his direction was reversed, and he started striding the other way. The design that we see the design we see today was basically revised in 2015, and in 2018, Jane Walker made an appearance as the striding woman, which coincided with Women's History Month and International Women's Day.
And didn't the keyboard warriors get up in arms about that?
Oh yeah, so you said. So you told me.
Controversy from the Bleeding Hearts saying that Diageo or Johnny Walker in particular, but Diageo were pandering due to the timing of it, which, look, any time you associate any kind of politics into your marketing, it's a risky move. Timing the release with International Women's Day just gave people an excuse to bitch.
Exactly.
Despite the fact that, it was a limited edition run of 250,000 bottles, and for each bottle sold, they donated $1 to International Women's Foundation.
Yeah.
So they effectively gave
Where's the
$250,000.
I don't see the problem. I really don't see the problem. No. But I guess, I don't know, it could have been the maybe the old school misogynist club.
Yeah, well, look, they didn't do themselves any favour. I actually got a quote here from the... Oh, damn it. God, I wish I was better prepared. From Johnny Walker Vice President Stephanie Jacoby, who actually worked on the Jane Walker campaign. She took it says here, she took the media and the Twitterverse by storm and even made it onto The Late Show with Stephen Colbert.
Nice.
Specifically, she said in an interview, Scotch as a category is seen as particularly intimidating to women. Jane Walker is a really exciting opportunity to invite women into the brand. So I think it was more the fact that the Bleeding Hearts objected to the labelling of, or the... it was just the fact that they were making an issue out of it, the timing. Yeah. At the end of the day, I think they did something that was clever marketing.
Exactly.
And even the backlash, that's free advertising.
That's it. It got people talking about.
It's a win for Johnny Walker.
Yeah, for mine, it just sounds like.
Plus, she's sexy.
For real, it sounds like to me. It just sounds like it just sounds like cronies. Like it sounds like the cronies, the institutionalized cronies at work that just fear change. Basically.
No, 100%. And the logo's sexy. Jane Walker.
For real.
Yeah, she's a saucy broad.
Oh,
good
man, how good do women look in riding pants?
Exactly.
And boots, long.
This is why riding pants exist.
For real, and ski pants as well.
Mm-hmm.
My wife doesn't ski, but I still want to buy her a ski outfit.
Yeah, I've added a drop to that.
Oh, really?
And unfortunately, I don't have a dropper, so I just poured straight out of a glass, and I got the consistency slightly wrong. So I'm just adding a touch more whiskey to it to get the balance right. But it's a different whiskey with the water. It's much sweeter.
Okay.
It's much lighter. It's all top end on the bouquet with the water. It's all honey. It's all heather. It's super light, almost fairy flossy on the palate. Yeah, it's a different whiskey with the water. I don't know if it's improved, but it's different. It's a little less confused. It's a little more committed to being a sweet whiskey. But I don't know. For mine, it lacks a real strong body and warmth, and which is just probably pure preference due to the fact that I'm such a big fan of Islay whiskies. But it's yeah.
It's got a very that might be actually I was going to say like a grassy kind of thing happening to it, but I think that's your cereal, basically. Like a very sort of, I don't know, mulchy, foliagey kind of thing, flavor. But that's definitely your cereal.
So it kind of tastes the way it looks.
It does.
Yeah, it kind of tastes pale gold.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping the Ultis tastes like it looks.
Yeah, I'm hoping
it looks a lot more robust.
Yeah. One marketing move that I thought was fantastic from Johnny Walker was in October 28 when they teamed up with HBO to produce the White Walker that tied in with the Game of Thrones.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, that was that whole series that HBO did, like not the Game of Thrones series, but the Game of Thrones whiskey series. Geez, they got...
Oh, that was marketing genius.
It was, and that turned out to be highly sought after. They disappeared real quick.
Super quick, and for big prices too.
Yeah.
Like the whole set. Yeah, big prices for whiskies that are kind of on their own. Some would be considered middle of the road whiskies, you know. But the second you stick that collectible branding, make it part of a set, Yeah, that was real clever.
I do remember I got when I first saw the advertising from it from, I think it was one of the major liquor establishments here in Australia. I think the email was about 3 hours old, and when I went on to check, stocks were gone. Yeah. And also that original package also came with a map of Westeros, apparently, and the
nice.
Yeah, and where the whiskies sort of come from. But they followed that up after the White Walker. Now you can see they've made loads of this. I think they're really trying to crash in on it. Mid last year, they came out with a Song of Ice and a Song of Fire. The Song of Ice is blended from single malts distilled at Clynelish, and a Song of Fire, which is more smoky, is Kailila. Apparently, they claim a Song of Ice is crisper, best enjoyed over ice, while a Song of Fire is spicier and good neat.
Look, I do love Kalila's whiskey.
Yeah.
It's gently smoky, while still, having a nice, mid-level complexity to it as well. Maybe, but you can push clever marketing too far, or you can push your cash cow a little too hard. I'm not saying that's what they're doing, but
no, I'd say they're straddling that line absolutely perfectly. I think that'll run its course, and
they get props to marketing department for Johnny Walker.
Yeah.
But the one maybe mark against them. In China, at least, was an advertising campaign that they CGI'd the shit out of Bruce Lee, and effectively, created Bruce Lee spruiking Johnny Walker whiskey.
Really?
And that's I mean, it seems a little cheap, but the main thing that people got upset about was the fact that they misread the room, because Bruce Lee, according to the article I read, was a teetotaler. He didn't drink at all. So it's a bit weird having an ambassador for your whiskey that's dead.
Yeah,
and
bowling in the
not only dead but doesn't drink.
Yeah, they bowled in the wrong lane there.
Yeah, but they get an A+. From all other aspects, they've done it really well. They've followed in John Walker's and his son Alex. Good footsteps.
There's a few musicians as well that have referenced Johnny Walker in their works, such as Amanda Marshall and ZZ Top, or ZZ Top, as nobody calls them in Australia. You've got Elliot Smith's Oscar-nominated Miss Misery has the narrator making it through the day with some help from Johnny Walker Red.
Good on him.
But a little bit closer to my heart, Black Label Society was actually named after Johnny Walker Black. Zach was apparently
Zach Wild.
pretty fond of the dram. Not to mention George Thorogood name-checking Johnny Walker and his brothers in Black and Red in I Drink Alone.
Black Label Society, good band. Zach Wild, what a guitarist.
Yeah, what a guitarist. I'm kind of glad that actually no, that's a really fucking horrendous way to start this sentence. With the passing of Vinnie Paul, now that there is no chance of any sort of Pantera reunion, I'm sort of glad that everybody's shut up about trying to get Pantera reunited with Zach Wild on guitar.
Well, because that was the thing for ages. That was just a rumor that wouldn't go away, and it was never going to happen. No. It was never going to happen. No. There was an irreconcilable rift. Thank you, between Phil and Vinny, and that was just never going to happen. But that rumor had come up every couple of years that Zach Wild was going to play guitar for a Pantera reunion, and. Look, I would have bought tickets. I would have been there. I would have loved the shit out of it. But at least, we don't have to, get our hopes built up and then crash down anymore.
Well, yeah, or just listen to people harp on about it. Actually, you know, on a musical note, it got me. I was thinking the other day about how just owing to the nature of the establishment that I live next door to and how loud they love to play their music. And it's just, I think it's basically just a mating call. They're just, and then it goes so, like you see a lot of people like with big fat stereos. They just look at me, oh chicks, yeah, I'll play music that chicks love. Like no, who the hell likes that? Seriously, who listens to that? Like what do you call it? Like the vocoded, the auto-tuned R&B, like with any degree of seriousness, really.
Well, it's very popular.
Chicks, amongst the ladies. I refuse to believe that any serious man listens to that kind of music. So they just play it. They just play it in their fully sick bloody Toyota Supra to try and pick up chicks. Dudes only sing that music to try and pick up chicks.
I love the metaphor.
It's basically
You're right.
a meeting call. And hip hop, man, hip hop is. Yeah, if they're not listening to R&B, they're listening to hip hop, and that's like, oh, like you know, look at all the shit that I have. Look at how tough I am. They're like
a bowerbird.
They are bowerbirds.
Look at all my shiny objects.
They are just putting shit in my nest. Look at my fucking shiny gold-plated guns and flashing notes everywhere. That's like you show us your tail feathers. It's their fucking wad of cash.
Oh, that's awesome.
And fucking Mick Jagger, like 60s and 70s rock. Mick Jagger is the ultimate fucking rooster. Just.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's a bantam rooster.
Yeah, for real.
100%.
Yeah, puffing his chest out, strutting back and forth along the stage. Like, personally, I respect all the soul and funk artists because they just came out and said. They just like James Brown was like, you got what I need. Like, they didn't beat around the bush. Here I am. Like, at least that.
Oh, those poor metal dudes. Those poor metal dudes have been sitting there, practicing. Just, look how good I am. But chicks don't care as much about.
No, it's a wrong target market, man. It's basically impresses more dudes than chicks. Yeah, all the drummers, look at how fast. All the dudes are just like, oh, he can blast so fucking fast. Oh. Chicks are like, dude, like,
oh, chicks are just going for the front man because the front man is obviously the rooster or the peacock.
Exactly.
Yeah. Fuck, solid metaphor, dude. I like it. I really like it. Well, this Chivas is it's staring me in the face and it's telling me that I'm piss weak and we can't have that. So
I'm enamored with the colour of it.
It's gorgeous. Like it's a gorgeous, deep amber, burnished, kind of bronzy.
I was gonna say almost.
Or burnished copper.
Yeah, that's lovely.
Yeah, there's a
beautiful looking gem.
Yeah, there's a nice robe to it.
A little bit of smoke actually. Sorry, gorgeous. Going back to the GW, a little bit of smoke is actually starting to come out now that most of it's left the glass. It's a really delicate.
But before we start drinking the Ultis, let's we'll pay a wee visit.
What's going
to some history for Chivas?
What's happened at Chivas?
So, funnily enough, James and John Chivas, the brothers Chivas, born in 1810 and 1814 respectively, were also grocers.
Right.
So they started out. I mean, they started out as farm lads in Aberdeenshire, and then they just worked on their parents' farm in Strathithan or Stratitan. I can't pronounce anything that's not poor Australian English. But in 1836, when they were 26 and 22, they decided to leave and head over to Aberdeen, which is 20 miles away. So about 30 k's.
I wonder if they walked.
So James joined one William Edwards, who had bought a well-known and well-stocked high-quality grocery, luxury goods, wine and liquor emporium from family members of a deceased John Forrest. James became a partner with William Edwards in 1838. John, James's brother, started working at a wholesale footwear and apparel firm, D.L. Shears and Co. Now, that firm would later be awarded distribution rights of Chivas Brothers from 1860 to 1886, but we'll get to that. they have a really rich history, but realistically, we'll kind of fly through it because I really want to drink the whiskey. But once Edwards died in 1841, Charles Stewart went into partnership with John Chivas, and in 1843, Stewart and Chivas were granted a royal warrant to supply goods to Queen Victoria.
Sorry, when was that? 1863?
1843. And then in 1850, Stewart and Chivas were appointed royal grocer to the Queen's mother, the Duchess of Kent, and many other royal warrants followed over the years. Big advantages, royal warrants, because
for real?
Basically the upper class and gentry follow royalty.
Yes,
they
exactly.
Just do whatever the royalties do. So they it was a good start.
It's
for
almost
them.
a guaranteed
things.
success, basically.
Exactly. The royal warrants probably led to their success. So obviously the money trail followed whiskey in those days. It had been made legal in 1823. There was a lot of shit stuff around. So these guys started vatting once, because vatting was legalized in 1853, and with the ability to blend and vat, the number of brands made available for sale increased overnight. So during that period, Stewart and James Chivas decided to respond to their affluent customers' demands for better whiskey. So they started blending select malts to create a proprietary blend. The first blended malt Scotch whisky, the Royal Glen D, was launched in 1854. Stewart left in 1857, making way for John, and then the company was named Chivas Brothers because James and John started working together. 1863, they launched a proprietary blended Scotch whisky, a smoothly crafted blend of 10-year-old malt and grain whiskies, which was called Royal Stratitan after their family's farm. So they were a bit of like the Walker brothers, or like Walker's son Alec. They got shit done.
Yeah.
They didn't get it to quite where the Walker family did. The last actively occupied Chivas family member, Alexander, son of James, died in 1893. So the control of the company was exercised by a board of trustees. Alexander Smith, who was the aide and right-hand man of Alexander Chivas and their master blender, Charles Stewart Howard. They offered to buy out the board of trustees and the distaff side of the family, removing any residual trace of Chivas family members.
Yeah.
The proposal was accepted on one proviso, that the company name would remain Chivas Brothers forever. So even though there were no Chivas Brothers there anymore, they had to keep it as Chivas Brothers, and they have.
It's nice that it's actually been honoured, hasn't been disputed.
Yeah, exactly. They were clever. They sent agents to assess market conditions in the US in the 1890s. The marketing team reported a booming economy, which was looking for luxury. So in 1900, Howard decided to create a new blend in memoriam of the founding brothers, James and John, using the best malt and grain whiskies available. They blended a malt-dominated recipe fitting the bill and introduced the term Regal. And Howard created a 25-year-old whiskey in 1909 called Chivas Regal, the oldest blended Scotch whisky of its era, and launched it in the US, establishing it as the world's first and oldest luxury whisky. So
there you go.
It was one-way street for them. They just basically made shitloads of money up until 1915, because that argument that we commonly refer to as World War One started, and that just fucked everything, really.
Yeah,
especially for whiskey.
Well, not to mention both of these establishments or companies have totally circumnavigated the Patterson crash. Like they've come out amazingly well, far better than most.
And they really did. I suppose it was the simple fact that that they kind of took advantage of it. Allowed them to stay liquid throughout the things that kind of tended to fuck a whole bunch of the single malt distilleries. and threaten some of their
And
suppliers.
they've saved the arse of a lot of their suppliers as well by investing in them.
Yeah, exactly right. So in 1936, whiskey brokers Morrison and Lundy bought the company. They decided that it was too. A 20-year-old was too. Sorry, the 25-year-old was just too onerous. So they reduced the production of the 25 drastically, resulting in its withdrawal as a standard bearer and ultimate demise. They switched focus to a 12-year-old, heavily marketed premium brand.
Yeah, there you go.
Which was a real clever decision, considering that World War II broke out only a few years later, and 39 saw the debut and continued success of Chivas Regal 12-year-old blended Scotch.
That seems to be the magic number, I think. Anywhere from 10 to 15 is usually what seems to be most profitable for a lot of distilleries or a lot of blenders.
That's it. It still exists to this day. And when it was released in the US, it set the standard, the global standard. So henceforth, quality, age, generally 12 years, cost, high, popularity, and demography.
I like demography.
Would define a premium Scotch whisky. So they basically defined the term premium blended Scotch whisky, at least in the US.
That's nice to set a benchmark.
Yeah. In 1949, Chivas Regal was purchased by Seagram's, which was a huge injection of funds in them. An interesting note was the Seagram's was owned by a Canadian Jew, Samuel Bronfman. When the Middle East opened up as a market post-oil domination, OPEC, Seagram's products, including Chivas, were banned in the entire Arab-controlled area in the early 1960s. So they didn't go well in the Middle East at all, funnily enough. So they scaled things back. But because they got purchased by Seagram's, in 1950, the firm were able to buy Milton Distillery, which was originally Milltown Distillery, renaming it Strathisla, which is the brand's home in Keith to this day. Its product, the Strathisla single malt, is a key malt component in the blend, and it's the oldest distillery in Scotland, according to my notes. But I've got a little more on the distillery in a bit. In 1997, the Chivas Regal range was expanded to launch much older whiskies like the 18-year-old. In 2007, the new Chivas Regal 25 came out. Yeah. Other expressions followed, like the Mizunara, finished in Mizunara oak from Japan in 2014.
I hear that's a very painstaking process too. Apparently Mizunara casks, they're very, very temperamental. They like to leak, very hard to seal. It can be, quite a painstaking process.
Yeah, they're super pain in the ass. Yeah. I've got some notes here on the Mizunara, because the oak's actually two different species, a Mongolian oak and a Japanese oak.
Okay.
They're both super slow growing. So it takes 300 years before a tree can be used to fashion barrels, compared to the 100 years for American white oak. Yeah, 300 years for a tree to be able to use for oak.
Just to cut it down and have your barrel
the Mongolian. Yeah. So the Mongolian takes 300 years, and the Japanese takes 200 years. Okay. Neither species grows straight, and both tend to have a lot of knot holes. A typical 100-year-old American white oak trunk will yield between 20 and 25% of its trunk into usable barrel staves. Get you a yunk out of my hand.
Yeah, that's
so 20-25%.
It's like Slavic. And he'd put his yunk in my mouth.
But so 20 to 25% is usable for a 100-year-old American white oak. The yield from both Japanese and Mongolian oak is less than 10%.
Jeez.
So you use less than 10% of a 300 and a 200-year-old tree.
So like Buddhist, it's just absolute lesson in futility.
No, it's ridiculous, right? So they're also, the Mizunara tends to be really soft and porous. So the barrels tend to be easily damaged and they leak easily.
Who the fuck thought this was a good idea?
I know, right? So a new barrel of Mizunara oak from Hokkaido, the region considered to produce the best quality wood, costs around $7,000 per barrel, almost 20 times the cost of a typical American bourbon barrel. So, and on top of that, right? So, I mean, the reason they do it is apparently the wood typically imparts aromas and flavors of sandalwood and a kind of Japanese incense called kara to the maturing whiskey. It's compared to the American and European species, the Japanese oak is particularly high in trans-oak lactones and vanillins. These lactones, when dissolved in alcohol, can impart a very strong coconut aroma, as well as notes of exotic spices. But, there's a big but. Finishing whiskey in Mizunara casks has not been without some controversy. Many Japanese distillers argue that it takes at least 15 years of maturation in Mizunara casks for the influence of the wood to truly manifest itself. So anyone that's releasing something that's less than 15 years in Mizunara is basically using it as a marketing gimmick. No. Genius.
Okay. Because I was going to say, I do have an Irish Glendalough, I think, Mizunara. It might be a 7 or an 8-year-old.
Yes.
Actually, do you happen to have that as well?
I do, actually. Here's one I prepared earlier.
Excellent. Sorry, it's a
13-year-old.
It is 13. I was going to say if it's not 7 or 8, it's 13. I think the other Glendalough I have is 7.
Yeah, it's 13. I don't know. So now it says down here, this is quite interesting. It says 13 years in American oak bourbon barrels, finished in Japanese Mizunara oak puncheon barrels. So, not sure how much of the Mizunara would have
so that is
gone in that if it spent 13 years
so that
American oak as opposed to the Mizunara.
That's very dishonourable.
They're lying to us.
Yeah. Marketing.
So, yeah, they brought out the Mizunara in 2014, the Icon in 2015, the XV in 2018. And, of course, they also brought out the Chivas Ultis, which is what we're going to be sampling.
Did you happen to mention the Extra by any chance? Is that there? I was gifted a bottle of the Extra, and it's very, very sherry heavy.
Is that the XV?
No, it's called the Extra.
Yeah, I don't have it in my notes, but
okay. You're curious. I'd never seen it before until I was gifted it, and it tastes like a very sherry heavy, no age statement. It's not bad. It's not great.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
To quote somebody that I know, admire, and respect, it does need more time in wood.
Nice. I've got something here on the actual Strathilla, the distillery itself, which is interesting. If I can find the correct page.
It's all right. I can edit this shit out.
Thank Christ for your editing skills. Found it. So a fun fact is that Strathilla is the only distillery to officially have been located in 3 different whiskey regions without ever having moved physically.
That's hell good. That's amazing.
So initially it was defined as being within the lowland region. The region border located just across the River Isla. The region borders were then redefined, and Strathilla was placed within the Highland region. Finally, the region, actually protected locality, as we've gone through when we were doing Campbelltown, Speyside, so the region, protected locality of Speyside was defined, and now Strathilla is a Speyside distillery.
Unreal.
So without ever moving, it's been a Highland, a Lowland, and a Speyside.
Easiest hat trick ever.
Yeah, and apparently it's the prettiest distillery in Scotland.
Oh, really?
The photos that I saw certainly look lovely, but they real pretty place. But the Ultis itself, actually, the brand ambassador for Chivas Regal, when the Ultis was released, is Chris Evans, Captain America himself.
There you go.
Yeah, along with Australian swimmer Michael Klim, which is less kind of
He's
huge.
His moment
Captain
in
America
the limelight
has
has
a
passed.
real. Yeah, it certainly has. Whereas, Chris Evans, Mr. Captain America, big fan of Shivers, apparently.
There you go. I do like how it's okay to forgive my ignorance. Are they Marvel or DC films? I don't know the difference between the two.
Marvel, I believe.
Okay.
I'm not a huge comic book dude, but I think Captain America, Iron Man, all those dudes, like the Avengers, are all Marvel. And you got Batman, Superman, are all DC.
I do like how with that sort of the current round of Marvel films, they're far lesser known actors.
Yeah.
They haven't really gone for anybody of note except for Samuel L. Jackson gets a run as what the.
Robert Downey Jr.
I was going to say he's the only exception to the rule,
pretty well
really.
known.
Yeah.
Shivers have also done a couple of clever marketing things, not as far back in time or as punchy as Walker, but when they released the Ultis in 2016, they partnered with a company that specializes in turning DNA molecules into 3D art. So they created 5 distinct digital DNA portraits for the 5 master blenders from the 5 distilleries that contributed to Ultis. So
That's interesting.
kind of it's left of center.
It is very much so.
Yeah. So it's different.
Yeah,
good on them.
Yeah. Who would have? I would never have thought of something like that.
No, exactly right. So they just trying to find where my note is here, so I can name those 5 distilleries. There was so wonderfully organised. Also, apparently, with Strathilla, this was just a note from a dude's blog that I read that went to the distillery. He said any below par or off profile whiskey detected during the regular quality control of matured whiskey is sold off to India to be included as small component of Scotch in many products. To be included as a small component of Scotch in many popular molasses-based Indian whiskey products.
Yeah, right.
Apparently they ship a full tanker per week, which is about 35,000 litres, I think.
It's unreal. So are all these distilleries Chivas owned?
No, I don't think they are.
So you can buy their
I would
you
love
can
to find
can
that
buy their
page.
single malts as well.
So Strathilla is the one that contributes the most.
Yep.
And you can apparently get that as a single malt. Finally. So the 5 different distilleries are Strathilla, as we've mentioned, Longmorn, which there's some a little note next to. So Strathilla, the heart of the blend, gives a malty, fruity sweetness we all know and love in Shivers. Longmorn brings a creamy smoothness and vanilla toffee. Tormore adds sweet citrus oils and zest. Alil Albain, I can't pronounce that properly, but we'll put it up in the show notes, offers spicy, lively maltiness to the blend, and Bravel tops it off with floral, honey, leather, and green notes, adding even more complexity.
Speaking of complexity,
So-
I've been nosing this a little bit, and it is it has far more going for it on the nose than the blue does.
Oh, good. Oh, wow, yeah. there's a lot more body to
Yeah,
it,
it's
isn't it?
much more mids, bottoms and mids. The aroma matches its color, which is nice. Doesn't leave.
Yeah, it does. There's some nice body to it. A little bit of bottom end as well.
Mm-hmm.
Still no peat or smoke. You're certainly not, big.
No, it's not.
It's kind of, again, it's malty. That the cereal notes come through with a bit of those high end, kind of floral notes.
Yeah. Down the bottom, we're getting the sort of your prunes and raisins kind of.
Yeah, like maybe a little bit of dark chocolate.
Yeah, a little bit dark chocolate. I'll agree with that.
But yeah, citrusy again. Kind of like a candy.
Yeah, more
this time,
candied
though.
citrus than the light and fruity nature of the blue. The cereal's very light for me.
Spicy on the first sip,
Yeah, a little bit.
but not
Spicy on the tongue.
young spicy. Just the tingle on the top, maybe back third of the tongue.
Yeah. Yeah, as opposed to the blue, which is on the roof of my mouth, strangely enough. I'm getting that. I'm getting the same sort of notes on the palate, on the nose, as if I inhale a little bit deeper than normal, much like the Tasmanians or the Benromic Organic. That's strange floral tone note.
Yeah, that's there as well. It was a lot bigger in the blue label, but it's here in the Ultis as well.
Oh, sorry, I was saying like the like the Tasmanians. It has that strange. I can't put my finger on it. It's like soap.
Yeah, we weren't able to really.
Yeah, it's soapy decaying flowers or something. Got to say, I'm preferring this much more.
It's not as thin.
Yeah.
It's not as watery. It's got a little bit more. It's not viscous like a Campbelltown. It's not oily, but it's
got more direction.
It's oilier.
Yeah. It's more focused.
It's compared
has
to
direction.
how thin the
has intent.
Yes, it's committed.
Yes.
It's committed to what it wants to be. It's nowhere near as confused, and it celebrates itself. There's a little bit of spice there, but you're right. I think it's malty. There's a bit of vanilla in it. And it kind of, again, candied citrus are the main kind of notes I'm taking. I'd love for there to be some peat in there. I really think that'd make this pop.
Yeah, it's very minimal smoke.
But it's got a real lovely finish to it.
It does.
Real lovely finish. It's long. It's kind of, it kind of goes from like a dark chocolate on the palate to a milk chocolate on the finish.
Yeah, you're right.
And some
dark chocolate to start with.
Some nice spices. There's some nice spice in there as well. It's not heat. There's just some nice spice. Like, maybe some
white pepper to me.
Maybe nutmeg or something. It tastes. Well, it feels smoother. There's no burn anywhere. Must have put a dead battery in it. Nice one.
I was going to say if that's might be the same one that you put in last time. Or the same one you put in first.
So entirely possible. So entirely possible. Oh no, it's saying it's full.
Ah, interesting. Okay. Oh well. What can you
it'll
do?
just be not much. We can, we can keep drinking the whiskey. I much prefer this. But
I think I do as well.
The Ultis, Chivas has also popped up in popular culture, similar to Johnny Walker Black Label. I suppose when you've got a world-renowned blend, you're going to pop up a little bit more often.
Especially if you've got a royal warrant. Jeez.
Exactly right. But so in the 1973 film The Exorcist, the character Father Dyer brings a whiskey for Father Karras to drink after the death of his mother. They share it, and he remarks, "Chivas Regal, where'd you get the money for that? Out of the poor box."
Nice.
The Beastie Boys song Brass Monkey, released in 1987, includes the lyric, "We don't mind shivers." So, yeah, good on you. In Working Girl, a film from 1988, savvy New York City receptionist Tess McGill, played by Melanie Griffith, orders a shivers during an engagement party for her friend Cynthia, immediately prior to a proposal from her boyfriend, played by Eric Baldwin. Kelly Clarkson's 2007 album My December includes a hidden track entitled Shivers. The track is about an ex she ran into at a bar while drinking shivers. In Mad Men Season 6 episode The Better Half,
I'm sure it was one of 1,000 drinks that they had in that show.
yeah. I've actually never seen the show, but I've heard good things about it. But he compares Fleischmann's margarine to Chivas Regal because it's a relatively expensive brand of margarine. While another character compares it to Ballantine beer because he compares margarine to butter. Yeah, I could have left that out. That I should have read that first.
Yeah, it sounds a bit convoluted and confusing.
Yeah, especially because I haven't seen the show. In American Dad, Season 6 episode Spring Breakup, Roger, as Scotch Bingington, invites spring breakers to a party at the Smith household as a self-proclaimed spring... I'm going to start that again. In the American Dad Season 6 episode Spring Breakup, Roger, as Scotch Bingington, invites spring breakers to party at the Smith household. As the self-proclaimed king of spring break, he has staff dispense Chivas Regal. And apparently, Chivas Regal signed a 3-year sponsorship deal with Manchester United in August 2018. Yeah. So they did a couple of releases. They released an American-only and an Australian-only release of it, which apparently both went off. So, yeah, sponsorship, popular culture.
Amongst football hooligans, yeah.
Yeah, I much prefer the Ultis. But in saying that, it's I'm not going to race out and get a bottle.
No.
This stuff goes for what? It's around about the same price as the Blue Label?
I assume so. This was... I can't remember how much I paid. It was from a mate that worked at the airport, and there was one of those duty-free sales.
Okay.
It was a lot less than what you'd pay normally, though. I think I came away with this, and maybe... Turns out I have 2 spare bottles of the Lafroig PX. I think I got both of them for about $2.50. So yeah, it's pretty good for Australian prices.
So I'm wondering if the reason that we both seem to prefer the Ultis is the lack of grain whiskey.
It's entirely possible.
The fact that it's 5 malts, and that hits our conditioned flavor profile better than the mix of malt and grain.
Yeah, it's entirely possible. What I like about it is the middle isn't missing. The middle is there. It doesn't.
In fact, the middle's the predominant part.
Yeah. It's bottom on the nose, very middle on the palate, lower middle. It's a
Yep.
It's base on the nose, tenor on the palate, whereas the blue was very tenor and soprano in both ways. There was nothing at the middle. It wasn't deep. There was just nothing in the middle really. It was
agreed.
strange.
I think
yeah, hollow.
the telling difference for me was the fact that the warmth from the blue label was clavicle centered, whereas the warmth from the Ultis is down in my solar plexus. The glow spreads from there as opposed from up here.
Very much so.
It just suits my preferences far better, the Ultis.
Yep.
But in saying that, give me literally any Isla whiskey, and I will prefer it. But again, that's just because of my love of peat. Look, both good whiskies. Nothing wrong with them. Are they worth what people want you to pay for them? Yes, because people pay for it. So therefore it is worth that price. I mean, one of the smart things that Chivas did was when they weren't selling well early days, they just doubled the price. They didn't change the whiskey. They didn't do anything differently. They just literally doubled the price.
I've heard about that.
People associate.
Exactly. I've heard about that in other circumstances where people won't. Hell, you can't even give away money to some people because they're here. You want to try and sell a $10 note for $1, and people will just go, "No, that's you're fucking crazy."
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, so people associate price with quality.
Exactly.
It's just it's how we're conditioned to do. So by doubling the price, all of a sudden, sales increased dramatically. And I mean, as of 2016, they're the fourth largest selling whiskey in the world.
I'm not surprised.
So it's fucking working for them.
Yeah. Do you have any idea? I guess. Well, one is probably Walker. Do you have any idea who the other two were?
Yeah, funnily enough, I've got a weird note here about because a whole bunch of whiskey started fat blending again. So vatted malts became popular. In where is it? Monkey Shoulder.
Okay. Yep.
Monkey Shoulder was or is one of the biggest selling brands worldwide.
Sure.
Of vatted blends, but vatted blends. So I don't think that wouldn't make them one of the top three. I'd assume Johnny Walker was probably number one.
I assume this is the blends category as well.
Yeah, and I'm not really, even just off the top of my head, because this wasn't something that I, kind of a rabbit hole that I went down. I actually went down kind of, marketing controversy as opposed to competitive.
No, that's all right. I'll do my best to chase it down and chuck it in the show notes.
We'll stick it in the show notes because it would be interesting to see who the other two of the top four are, with Johnny Walker and Chivas Regal being my guess 1 and 4, who 2 and 3 would be.
I wonder if Royal Salute is in there possibly.
Yeah, you never know.
But I think it might be time for some numbers.
I agree. I think I've got to get back to doing nothing while in Rona isolation. It's holding me up from my fucking Xbox playing. So no, I agree. Numbers. Look,
this is hard. That if you're gonna scrub sevens, this is
Oh, these are two straight up sevens.
Yeah.
Like straight up sevens.
Yeah.
So we have to scrap 7. Yeah. Otherwise, it's generic as fuck. Like we're just going to take the easy option.
So in that case, then if you don't mind me just jumping in,
please do.
I don't think I can't recommend the Johnny Blue. I can't give it an endorsement. I've got to say it's a 6.8 or a 6.9. Whereas the Ultis, is much better. It's got to be an 8 flat. I think, an 8-1.
See,
8-1.
I think you're being generous.
I totally
I understand why you are. But I don't think I can give the Johnny Walker Blue anything above. It probably warrants a 6.5, but I have to leave room for the difference between the Blue and the Ultis. And the Ultis, I'm going to give it a 6.9 because it's a dead set 7. So I'm going to give it a 6.9, and there's a big difference between the two. So I'm going to give the Blue a 6 flat.
Yeah.
And I understand that, that's not generous, and considering it's two of the largest whiskey producing companies in the world, I've probably taken them off the board as potential sponsors. But it's there's not much I can do. The whiskey is the whiskey.
Yeah, and I usually change after listening to you, because you are quite the voice of reason. I tend to shoot from the hip a little bit more.
Because it's hard to give that Ultis an 8. It's real hard.
You're right. It really,
it's good, but it's
I think it really deserves a 7.2.
Yeah. And that's like, you don't have to take the 7s off the board. The whole idea between taking 7s off the board is to make us think, to make us really make a decision. But I think
I'm bringing back the 7 for the Ultis. Then it's a 7.2, and that's and like you said, this has got to be the Blues a 6.1, 6.2. I think
it's got to be.
Yeah.
It's just got to be.
Yeah, it's hollow. It's confused. It's lowest common denominator. It's trying to please everybody, and then probably pleases very few actual Scotch lovers because of it.
No, it's a testament to really brilliant marketing, because it's an inferior Scotch sold at an exceptionally high price and makes a shitload of money, and is considered almost a standard for premium Scotch whiskey. So it's well done marketing team. Obviously they're working with what they're working with, but the Ultis is if given the choice between the two, I'm going to take the Ultis every day of the week. Every day of the week.
It is very
much
like a full-bodied Tasmanian for mine as well.
But it just it's a nice whiskey, but it's just not special.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. You nice, but you ain't special. Tell your next date. Tell your next date that when things don't work out. When you decide to call it.
You're nice, but you're a nice girl, but you're just not special. Well, I don't think that's going to go down well, dude.
You said that far more positively than you should.
It's just that would be as bad as giving them a 6.2 on their Tinder rating profile. Yeah, look, I've taken 7s out, and she's certainly not an 8.
I reckon that's just leave it at
high
that.
6s.
Yeah, I've taken 7s out. She's certainly not an 8.
That's how I would describe these whiskies. I've taken 7 ounce. I've taken 7s out, and they're certainly not 8s.
Yeah,
but call me.
If it's cold and you've got nothing better to do, that's exactly
call me.
That's exactly, these whiskies are bad Tinder dates, man. That's exactly what.
They're not bad Tinder dates. They're just not good Tinder dates.
They're not.
Right? They're
not good. They're attractive. They're attractive, but they're not good Tinder dates.
Yeah. Like you get home and your housemate goes, "How did your date go?" And you go, "Well, I suppose she can booty call me."
Yeah, for real.
Yeah. But I'm probably not going to spend more money on her.
No, if you got
Oh, terrible. We're going to hell.
Truth hurts, man. Truth hurts.
So I suppose I feel for these whiskies. They wouldn't.
I don't. They're way richer than both of us.
Yeah, it's so true. So true. But they were never going to fare that well.
No.
I don't think we've been overly harsh, but it's well. In fact, I don't think we've been harsh at all. We're calling it how we see it.
Exactly.
People may disagree with us, and that's fair. That's.
I'd say that they're wrong, and that they should man up and drink something real.
Oh yeah, we can give them a range of whiskies to sample and then get back to us with their opinion. But then again, anyone that's actually going to contest an opinion has probably got more experience than us anyway. So fuck it.
I don't really care about other people's opinions anyway.
No. Oh, do you have the Bible there? Do you have?
Oh yeah, certainly. Yeah,
do you have Reverend Jim's numbers?
Oh jeez, what did I do with it? Oh, this is very unprofessional.
Oh, it's okay, dude. Like, I've set the bar so fucking low today. Yeah. Did you know also that Winston Churchill's favourite whiskey was Johnny Walker Red Label?
Yeah, I did. I did read that.
And apparently, Christopher Hitchens was partial to a Johnny Walker Black.
Sure was. Didn't he call
Perrier,
it?
And he called
Amber?
it Mr. Walker's Amber Restorative. Yeah.
That's great. Too far. Okay. Alright, Johnny Blue. Oh, yeah. What a frustrating blend. Just so close to brilliance, but nose and finish are slightly out of kilter. Worth the experience of the mouth arrival alone. 88. Still generous.
He's got a lot. He's got a lot more to lose than us, though. You know, can you imagine if he? I don't know. Johnny Walker would not be happy if he gave them a 6.
Maybe they'd try harder.
Oh, that's awesome! Fuck yeah.
Doesn't look like the Ultis gets a look in.
Oh, that's a shame.
But he
What
did.
have you got? The 2019 book.
Div give the Mizunara an 89.5.
Yeah, I suppose I would try the Mizunara, but I now kind of, I don't know. I'm really biased against anything that hasn't spent 15 years in Mizunara.
Same here. You've poisoned me.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I've ruined that for you, haven't I?
That's
the research
fine.
did. That
That's
was my
fine.
fault.
The Japanese did.
Yeah. Well, I mean, realistically, the oak should just be better. I mean, what a prick of a tree. I'm going to take 3 times as long, and I'm going to give you 50 to 70% less yield for your barrel.
Heaps
that's just
gnarly and knotty. Like I just can't fathom why anybody thought, let's see that really shit and hard to work with tree over there. Let's make something that needs to be watertight out of it.
I mean, imagine if you had a mate that fit all those characteristics. You wouldn't spend a lot of time with that dude, would you? You'd be like, oh, dude, you're 3 times as fucking hard to work with.
Yeah.
I get way less usable fucking, resources out of you.
Yeah. You're only hanging out with him for what he has in his pocket.
Yeah, straight up. It's the truth. It's the typical drug dealer relationship. Yeah. We're not friends, man. I'm just here to get my drugs. Stop trying to talk to me and stop trying to, fucking make out that we're actually friends.
Unless he's at a party. Unless he's at a party, and then he's the dude that you.
Oh, then you're friends, of course. Yeah, he might have free drugs on him. Like, come on.
Oh, I think that's it.
But I'd like to leave on because I think it's probably time to wrap up.
Yeah, it is.
Close to wrapping up. But I'd like to finish with a story that I came across, because obviously Rona, right? It's the elephant in the room.
My Corona.
And it makes people do my woo.
Did you hear?
It makes people do.
Oh, sorry, I'll slightly derail you. Somebody commented and mentioned Weird Al Yankovic. Said, Weird Al, you have to do My Corona. Oh no, he commented and said, no, there's no way I'm doing My Corona. It's like shooting fish in a barrel or something. Yeah, and somebody else commented and said, it's a shame, it'd go viral.
Oh, I do love a good pun. I really do. But Rona and ISO, I mean, it's changed everything. Even if it's just for this short period of time, it's changed everything. From, it's a good example is a girl that I haven't been on a date yet because of isolation with, but chatting with, making a video for. So she was supposed to be bridesmaid at a wedding that would have been a couple of days ago. Obviously weddings are off, funerals are off. 5 people at a funeral. I think that was it. You can have
10. It was 10 at
3.
It was 5 at a wedding.
10 at a funeral, 5 at a wedding.
Yeah.
Oh the fuck! Yeah, if anyone's listening to this overseas, that's the restrictions here in Australia at the moment. If there can only be 5 people at a wedding and 10 people at a funeral. So obviously this girl's friend's wedding has been postponed until further notice. So on the day of her wedding, she made a video just to make it feel better. Hey, doing the bridesmaid thing. Well done. Goes to upload it, realizes that just as she's about to hit send, that on full view in the video is the rainbow vibrator in the middle of the coffee table. This is what isolation does. You don't even use sex toys in the bedroom anymore. You just use it wherever you find it.
A rainbow vibrator is lounge room decor.
100%, right? And just on the topic of sex toys, in Colombia, there's been something like a 1,400% increase in sex toy sales in a conservative country, which, there's a lot of bored people. Yeah, amen. And isolation makes people people get bored, so bored. Not everyone has an Xbox.
No.
So one story that I came across that I wanted to share was of an Australian astrophysicist who was playing around with some magnets. He wanted to make... he studies pulsars and gravitational waves. I said he was trying to liven up the boredom of self-isolation with 4 powerful neodymium magnets. This is a quote, I had a part that detects magnetic fields. I thought that if I built a circuit that could detect the magnetic field and we wore magnets on our wrists, then it would set off an alarm if you brought it too close to your face. So that's for people wearing masks. It would make you not touch your face, because as soon as you touch your face, you have to change your mask. So this is also a quote. I accidentally invented a necklace that buzzes continuously unless you move your hand close to your face. The quote continues. After scrapping that idea, I was still a bit bored playing with the magnets. It's the same logic as clipping pegs to your ears. I clipped them to my earlobes and then clipped them to my nostril. And things went downhill pretty quickly when I clipped the magnets to my other nostril. He said he placed 2 magnets inside his nostril and 2 on the outside. When he removed the magnets from the outside of his nose, the 2 insides stuck together. Unfortunately, the researcher then attempted... so biting on the septum. He then attempted to use his remaining magnets to remove them. So at this point, his partner was laughing at him. So he struggled for 20 minutes. Googled the problem and found an article about an 11-year-old boy who had the same problem. The solution in that was more magnets to put on the outside to offset the pull from the ones on the inside. At that point, he ran out of magnets and had to go to hospital. He tried to get them off with pliers before attending to the hospital. But every time he brought the pliers close to his nose, the entire nose would shift towards the pliers, and the pliers would stick to the magnet.
Oh, amazing! It's plastic tools.
Great. So this is the final quote. My partner took me to the hospital that she works in because she wanted all her colleagues to laugh at me. The doctors thought it was quite funny, making comments like, "This is an injury due to self-isolation and boredom."
That's
delightful.
I do have some of those.
It's the kind of thing I'd do if I didn't have an Xbox.
I do have some of those neodymium magnets, and they are quite strong. Sick. I have I've done the clamp. I've done the clamp on the ear, but I would never ever stick one up my nose.
No, the nose thing defies all fucking.
I did.
That's just a silly.
I did
to do.
especially
for an astrophysicist.
I did put one on the inside of my mouth and then one on the outside of my mouth, and that hurt to a great degree. So cool. These things are quite strong, and they're only these are 10-cent coin magnets too. They're quite thin. I imagine if you got anything that was a few times thicker, Jesus Christ, the pull on them would be crazy.
Yeah, so there you go. Even astrophysicists do fucking stupid things when in ISO because of Rona.
It was all in the name of science.
All in the name of science.
I put it to you that most of the world's great experiments come out of accidents. Like, look at, what was it? Wasn't heroin? The first dude that took heroin took a fuckload of it. Same with acid. The guy that first synthesized acid took a fuckload of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. Most of the great leaps forward in human evolution have been due to mistakes because people were either trying to get their dick hard after it wouldn't get hard anymore, or trying to get high. These are the two founding principles of all modern scientific medicine.
Pretty much. That's all anybody wants, is to just not be themselves and have a rock hard dick.
That's it. They just want to get high and get the dick hard.
Yeah.
Straight up. Broad strokes, obviously, because females don't have penises. But anyway, we digress, and this is probably a reasonable spot to maybe wrap this one up.
Yeah, we should probably sign off here. It's starting to go downhill.
Yeah, agreed. Well, it's been a pleasure, dude.
Yeah.
Thank you for sampling these whiskies with me.
This has been quite odd.
It has been super odd, but at the end of the day, we've done our best. That's all we can do. Because I have a tiny little bit of whiskey left in both of these receptacles. Yeah, I'm gonna.
Are you gonna blend the blend?
I'm gonna blend the blend. I'm blending the blend.
Oh, it's a shame that the camera went out.
It really is. Yeah, that's It was always going to have technical difficulties. This one, our technical guys, not in the same venue as I am. That actually smells quite nice. It's kind of. It's got the body of the Ultis, but it's got the floral notes of the blue. And I'll give you my taste reaction next episode. No, I won't really. That would be a cunty thing to do. Even though I do cunty things sometimes. That's not bad. Yeah, it's exactly as you would imagine it is. It's the combination of both of them in a single glass. But it allows me to say, slancha, brother.
Slancha, my friend.